Would it be considered poor taste to make a response video to one of my own videos? Hello, welcome to my channel. Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I'm doing a response video to a video I just created. 5 of the hardest books I've ever read. I had initially wanted to put a coda onto that video, but it was turning out to be too long, and the coda would be 5 of the hardest books I haven't read but want to. So let me get out to show you 5 of the books that are really hard that I want to read. The first is In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. In 2024, I created a group where we were going to read all of Marcel's Proust in Search of Lost Time. I made it through books 1 and about a quarter of book 2 before abandoning my own group because I just was not jiving with this book. I was not understanding how to read this book. I had taken some internet advice, and the internet advice was saying, read 12 to 15 pages a day and take notes of everything that you've read. I tried that, and again, I'm not a note taker, so I abandoned the note taking really rather quickly. And then I made it through book 1, Swan's Way, which I actually really enjoyed. Proust does not have a story per se in this book. It's all about memories, all about impressions. He is just a young boy in this story, and he's talking about one of his neighbors, Swan, and his failed romantic relationships. Fascinating, wonderful prose, magnificent writing that's just a labyrinth of words, and you can get just lost in a sentence because Proust has some very long sentences. But once I got to about a third of the way through the book 2, I just lost steam. And honestly, about 10 years before, I had tried reading In Lost Time again, and I quit almost to the page where I quit before. But I still want to read In Search of Lost Time. I want to get through all of the volumes someday. But what method should I use to read them? Obviously, reading 10 to 12 pages a day did not work for me. So maybe in some coming years, I'll create a new scheme. Maybe I should read just one book a quarter and just read the book straight through, start to finish, and then put it down for a month or two, the series, and pick it up again in the next quarter. So obviously it will be at least a 2-year project. Maybe that is the way I can finally read this difficult book. To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, originally published in 1927. The novel centers on the Ramsay family and their visits to the Isle of Skye in Scotland between 1910 and 1920. This follows in the tradition of Marcel Proust and James Joyce. The plot of To the Lighthouse is secondary to its philosophical introspection. It is cited as a key example of modern and multiple points of view. You get Mrs. Ramsay, Mr. Ramsay, and some of their 8 children. And it's all about their thoughts. There is very little plot in this book. It is all about what they are thinking and what they are examining and what their allegiances show to themselves and to others. Out of all the difficult books that I'm going to be showing in these videos, I think this might be the easiest. And the easiest because it is only 209 pages long, and I can stand that. I can stand the multiple points of view. I can stand the lack of plot. What was Virginia Woolf trying to do with the novel in 1927? Being in Time by Martin Heidegger, originally published in German in 1927. This is a key document in existential philosophy. This is Martin Heidegger trying to understand what it means to be, or what he calls Dasein, or being in the world. This is a notoriously difficult work. of philosophy. He not only has a dense prose style, he invents lots of terminology that is not familiar to the English reader, or I presume even to the German original reader. And I originally tried to read this book when I was working at Borders Books and Music way back in the 90s. A couple of employees were starting a book group, and we all said, yeah, let's read Being in Time. That would be fun. And I got through about 30 pages before my head exploded. It was not ready for this level of deep philosophy. But not only do I own this, the English translation of Being in Time, I own a couple of volumes explaining what this book is supposed to mean. And why haven't I read it yet? Well, it's just too hard. Can my mind accept all this knowledge? My 20-something mind, when I first tried it, just did not accept it. I was just not ready for it. I would have been 25 or 26, maybe a little bit older, but I just couldn't get through it. And not only that difficulty do you have with the text, you have the problem that Martin Heidegger was sympathetic to the Nazis. Does that invalidate his philosophy? Because Martin Heidegger was a fascist and a Nazi appreciator and a member of the Nazi Party. I don't know. But I guess I'd have to read some of these biographies explaining Heidegger and Nazism to understand the man and how that acceptance of Nazism, how would that affect his philosophy? Can I actually read his philosophy now and appreciating it, knowing that the man was probably evil in his soul? Hmm. Joseph and His Brothers by Thomas Mann, originally published in Germany between 1930 and 1943. Technically speaking, this is not one book, this is four. It is the story of Jacob, the young Joseph, Joseph in Egypt, and Joseph the provider. Thomas Mann imagined or wanted his stories of Joseph to be his magnum opus, the work that he'd be best known for. He is not best known for Joseph and his brothers. But this is essentially the retelling of Joseph from the books of Genesis. And how does that work out? I don't know. I really enjoyed his novel, The Magic Mountain. That novel had such intellectual and philosophical depth. I also enjoyed his novel, Dr. Faustus, about a composer who invented the 12-tone system of Stravinsky under a fictional name. And it was all about selling your soul out for art, selling your soul out to evil, to the Nazis. I am not a religious person, but the subject of the old religions is a fascinating one. Let me read you a brief description of these books. A dominant topic of the novels are Thomas Mann's exploration of the status of mythology and its presentation of the late Bronze Age mindset with regard to mythical truths and the emergence of monotheism. The events of the story of Genesis are frequently associated and identified with other mythic topics. Central is the notion of the underworld and the mythical descent into the underworld. Jacob's sojourn into Mesopotamia is paralleled with Joseph's life in Egypt, and on a smaller scale, his captivity in the well. They are further identified with the Hell Raid, the Mesopotamian Tammuz myth, and the Jewish Babylonian captivity, as well as the harrowing hell of Jesus Christ. I think this could be a very fascinating read into this old mythology of religion. That's why I want to read it someday. Miss MacIntosh, My Darling by Marguerite Young, originally published in 1965. Young began writing the novel in 1945, expecting it would take her 2 years. She worked on it daily and did not finish until 1964. Young said, had she known it would take so long, she never would have started it. The story is about Vera Cartwright, the novel's first-person narrator. She is on a cross-country bus ride, hoping to locate her childhood nursemaid and nanny, Miss MacIntosh. That's the book. All about her mind, all about her thoughts, all about her feelings on this bus ride going across country. It is considered one of the most complicated books to read and one of the longest books by a woman ever published, especially for the time. I've had this book for decades. One day, I do need to read it. Okay, those are 5 of the hardest books that I haven't read, but 1 too. I'm not turning this into a tag video, but if you want to, tell me your 5 hard books that you haven't read in the comments of this video, or make your own response. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.